Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Second Age Show podcast. It's been a while. My name is Strider, and of course, as always, with me are Kyle. Hello, man. How are you doing?
Hey, man. Great to be here. Excellent to see everyone. Here we are. This is great.
Good to see you too. Lakitia, how are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing fine. Still recovering from all the excitement from last weekend. So
Yeah, I think some things happened. I'm not sure. Something big, maybe, perhaps. I'm not sure.
I heard about something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Theatrical.
And today we have a very special guest, Varking. Hello, Mr. Dwarf. How are you doing?
I am doing outstanding. While she's recovering, I'm still celebrating from all the Dwarven magic that we witnessed in that Super Bowl teaser trailer. And cannot wait to talk about more Dwarven things with you guys. Living the Dwarven dream over here.
Indeed. Well, today we are lucky to have the expert with us because we're going to talk about dwarves. So we have some news regarding them, and we're going to comment very soon. So, Kyle, would you like to do the honors? Read the first one?
Yeah, I'll just say first, this is really cool because this is, we kind of had some sweaty palms going into the trailer, not knowing what we were going to see and whether exactly, as Varking is demonstrating there. We weren't sure, if what we'd been talking about for the last few months would be completely disproven or if, we'd be vindicated or what. And obviously, everything kind of rang true and played out better than we could have hoped for. This is a cool one because this is something we've known for a few months and we haven't really talked about it because we weren't able to dig deep enough to really get a sense of what was going on. But this particular scene was in the trailer, so very excited to talk about that. But first we can talk about the fact that Peter Mullan will play King Durin, who in the first episode is involved in a major mine collapse scene, which we talked about several leaks ago. One of the first leaks, actually. Barely making out alive with his life, but many dwarves die. Whether this is the same scene as Sophia's singing in the trailer is yet unconfirmed. So we know she sings a sad lament. We reported on this quite a while back. But that particular scene where she's singing, we're not sure if that's related to this specific scene or not. But she does in fact sing after the collapse happens.
Okay, well, that was a really nice overview of the whole history of this leak. So, what do we think of the casting, Lakitia? How do you see this?
Okay, first of all, I just want to say that as far as Peter Mullan is concerned, we know that Hen has been pointing this casting out for like ages. I think it was mostly due to the fact that Mullan has previously auditioned for Balin in the Hobbit trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. But also, he's got this signature deep growling voice that we've come to associate with the dwarves. So I think this casting is absolutely spot on. I wonder what his characterization is going to be. I really wonder what his relationship with his son is going to be. But I think Peter Mullan is certainly one of the most prolific actors in this cast. And I'm super excited to see what he brings to the role. And mostly I'm really excited what sort of dynamic is there going to be between Durin the elder and the younger.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we have two dwarves, two Durins back to back because it's not really working well regarding the canon. But we'll see what they will do with that. And let's hear our local expert. What do you think of this exclusive, Marking?
Well, what I'm hearing from Deep Khazad Doom is that everybody around here is pretty excited for his casting. As Lakitia has accurately pointed out, he has like that type of voice that you come to sort of expect from the dwarves, and he's done fantastic work. He's won, Best Actor awards. He's been featured at all sorts of different festivals, and again, he's applied to play a dwarven character before, which as a dwarf fan makes me feel like he has a special affinity for the dwarves and he really wants to play one. So I'm hoping that he's going to I expect him to hit a home run and knock it out of the park. But what worries me is that, again, this could tie into the whole Dwarven mind collapse? Could he be dying in that? But then I'm not going to get to see him for very long, and then it feels kind of like a wasted effort that he's been trying to be a dwarf for so long, and then they're like, all right, well, you're going to get your 15 minutes, and then you got to go, buddy. We got another Durin to focus on.
Yeah, I think that's a very real concern. I think that might well be the case. We haven't seen Peter Mullan in any of the cast shots or like posts online anywhere. There has been no proof of his presence in New Zealand, which of course could mean that he just wasn't hanging out with the cast, but I think it could also imply that he was only there for a short amount of time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, gets off pretty quickly, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I hope. Sorry. I want to say I hope that's not the case, as you all do also. But I think even more annoyingly, if that does happen, then what was the point of, like, during the third is the one who gets the ring, right?
Yeah.
And having two Durins at the same time, being like a father and a son, that's not what's supposed to happen. So if they really do, like, during the third and during the fourth together as father and son at the same time, and then just kill him off, like, why? Then you could just name him, like Train, or like some, Gory the Dwarf, the father of Durin, and just kill him, not kill during the third in, like, the second episode. So I'm also very worried about this. Like, if they do this, it seems like a waste of really interesting piece of lore. Hopefully that's not going to happen. Yep.
Can I just chime in with a quick theory, and then we'll go over to you, Kyle? I think one thing they could be doing with the two Durins, and with one of them just being there for a short amount of time, this is fan theory, pure speculation. This is my own headcanon or something. But I think it would be really interesting if their relationship was a little bit strained, and if the elder Durin would be pressing forward this idea that being named Durin brings a certain responsibility with it, that the younger Durin needs to live up to the name. And so this younger Durin could be really filled with anxieties and, these expectations. And maybe this would be why he would turn to Sauron once he appears with the rings. In order to fulfill his destiny, in order to live up to his name, that he would be like, okay, I really need to do, go that extra mile. I need to achieve greatness. And I see this as a means of reaching that end.
So you think Durin 4 could be given a ring as opposed to Durin 3?
Yes, I know this is, of course, opposed to the canon, and I would much prefer them to stick as closely to the canon as possible. But this is one way I could see them going with this. Of course, this is very, very specific. This is just something that came to my mind. It's very unlikely this is going to happen, but it's something that I could see being quite interesting in a way.
It is interesting because it does solve a problem that's posed by all of this. And I will say that the report that we have specifically says that the king does live through this event. So there's that. Obviously nothing's confirmed until it's out there and we see it happen before our own eyes, but yeah, it definitely poses a problem. And I wonder how they'll also handle the idea of Durin's reincarnation in the show. And we had reported a while back on this Dwarven religious sect in the show, and I wonder if that plays into this whole thing, or if we're not going to have the reincarnation aspect at all. Originally I thought maybe it was because they need to deal with the time thing, right? Like dwarves live, a couple hundred years. So if they're spanning more time than that, then they would need to have more than one Durin alive during the period of the series. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So the father-son thing is a really interesting dynamic for that, and I'll be interested to see how they handle it for sure.
I think, like you were talking about with the reincarnation piece of that, maybe because it's more of a religious type thing, that they're going to, in this adaptation of Tolkien's work, where we know they're condensing on the timelines, maybe, they're going to make this more of like a spiritual passing, when Durin the Third can no longer like fulfill being like the spirit of Durin the Deathless, maybe after the mind collapses, he lives, but he's not, his normal healthy self. Maybe that's when the other dwarves get together and pass down the title, or maybe they don't do it then. But when other dwarves accept the rings, maybe he decides he doesn't want to wear his ring, because dwarves are all about not taking the easy road and they want to work for everything and they love crafting. He doesn't accept the ring, and because he's one of the ones that shuns it away because he doesn't risk a corruption or whatever, maybe then the other dwarves look to him as being like, oh, he's a true heir of Durin, and now we're going to give him the official Durin the Fourth. Maybe he's just Durin up until then, and then they earn the number at the end.
I think you've both come up with some really really interesting ideas there. Those are very well thought out. It's like you guys prepared for this or something.
I would like to say real quick, I'm going to interrupt the elf, and I've been trying to study this man's face, Peter Mullan, and compare. There are two dwarves to the left portion of the scene during the trailer when we see, the quote-unquote rock-breaking competition, and the dwarf that is on the right, who is holding the horn, looks like it could be a possibility of that might be his actor. Now, I don't know. I'm not confirming that, but it's possible he's there around that time.
I think that's interesting, but the one reason why I think it may not be him is because that dwarf just seems like one of the many. Like, his beard doesn't stand out. He doesn't have any decorations or something. Even the dwarf that we see standing to the left of Durin the Fourth, on the picture on his right, that one his beard looks much more lush, like longer and stuff. And I would think that the Dwarven King would be, a sight to behold.
Well, if you haven't studied Dwarven history and beards, I understand the take of like why you think it doesn't stand out, but it's okay for us to disagree.
Okay. Yes, I am a mere mortal. I know very little about the affairs of Dwarven beards, I'm afraid. I don't. Oh, yeah, I know what I was gonna say earlier. I was actually gonna talk about the fact that I think Amazon could be going the route of just relinquishing the whole reincarnation thing. I think they could just be going with something like Durin is a very important name for the historic reasons, la 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 la, but just completely eliminate the whole reincarnation thing. I think this is a very sad choice if they take it, because I think these sort of details are what makes Tolkien's world building as rich, as vivid as it is. But also, this is a TV show that by now we know for sure that it's going to be changing a lot. It's going to be eliminating a lot of the elements that do appear in Tolkien's works. So I honestly wouldn't be too surprised if this was one thing to go.
Actually, I would like to. I think you really nailed it with this last comment, because the theories that both of you made some minutes ago, I think all of those, or both of those theories could work if the father was not a Durin. If he was just a dwarf, you can still do both things that you said. And Lakitia, you said that it's highly unlikely. I wouldn't agree with that. I think your theory does actually make a lot of sense, that they could go for that type of story with Durin the Fourth. Sadly, I think it is the likeliest actually that they will just forego the whole reincarnation thing and just not deal with that much. Just have okay, we have Durin the Third, and his son is also called Durin. Then when he becomes king, he's going to be called Durin the Fourth, and that's it. We as fans like to theorycrat. We like to connect all the tiny clues that we have, and then sometimes I think we all, absolutely including myself, I think we just sometimes look too much into it, and I think the most obvious answer will likely be the case in many of the theories that we had, which is kind of sad, because of course having this whole concept of reincarnation in Middle Earth, like who knows, like regarding casual fans, who knows that? Like a casual fan who just saw the movies, they're not going to know that, and then discovering something like that, it would be interesting. But yeah, I think you are probably right that they would just forego that whole thing, and yeah. But the good news is that, according to what we heard, at least the actor will stick around a bit longer. So, does anyone want to comment on the second part of this exclusive? Because so it says that whether this is the same scene as Sophia is singing in the trailer is yet unconfirmed.
I actually think that one of the articles that were published either by Vanity Fair or Variety, I'm not sure about that. I think in one of the articles it was mentioned that she's sort of singing an ode to the mountain in order to help with the whole gold digging process or something. In that short clip, I think something was mentioned along those lines. I'm not too sure about it. But in any case,
It was Variety Fair.
Okay. In any case, I think that's good news because that means we'll get to hear a lot of Dwarven singing, and I'm into that. So, and of course, Sofia Novete has this gorgeous voice. For anybody wanting to hear it, I think she posted a few clips of her singing on her Instagram. She's got this beautiful voice, and I think it could make for really lovely scenes. So yeah, the more the better.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if it's not, I hope it's not her singing the sad lament, because the more we see song in it, the better, in my opinion, for sure.
I think that it could lead to multiple songs. She could sing a sad lament because the mine has collapsed and they don't know who's died yet. They haven't been able to tally up the bodies. But she could also be singing a song later to have like the reverbs go throughout the mountains so that the other dwarves know where to delve and where not to. So that way they don't delve too deeply and cause any sort of chaos for themselves, because that wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other interesting piece of that is the whole Dwarven mine collapse and singing the sad song of lament. It's fascinating to think about, when does this mine collapse happen? We know Elrond shows up and he's there to like make peace and like be friends with the dwarves again, but why would he need to do that? Did an elf come by and cause a collapse on Great Dwarven mine work as they were building and crafting this great mine? Is an elf the reason for that? Is that why he's there, to try to make people happy again? It seems like an elf dwarf type thing that would happen.
Perhaps, though, the odds of elves appearing in dwarven mines, I think, are not that big.
So you're saying you think it's Elrond himself who did it? Nailed it.
No.
I mean, you know, elves could go around making dwarven mines collapse, but my theory regarding that was since when we heard that Elrond is on a diplomatic mission to Khazad-dûm to repair the relations. I think it's actually, again, depending on what's happening when this is happening in the Second Age. The sack of Doriath by the dwarves could be relatively recent, because it happened towards the end of the First Age, and then when Beleriand was sunk, when it sunk down under the seas, a lot of the dwarves from Belagos and Nogrod, like those two, it's like fire beams, and I'm not sure about the second, who's the second group. A lot of them went to Khazad-dûm, so could be that my theory is that maybe it's that thing that they want to kind of repair. That may be the reason why. But maybe an elf messed up something. Like, you never know. They're sneaky things.
I like
sneaky beings.
I do like that idea, but they're already compressing so much of the time. I don't necessarily see them compressing the beginning of the Second Age either. But that is definitely an interesting idea.
And dwarves are certainly capable of holding grudges across generations. So that's
a true story.
I mean, is it often for people to hold grudges that are undeserved?
Yes.
I mean, we have a movie.
Very much so.
We have movies where elves skateboard like on a shield shooting arrows. It's ridiculous. You don't see dwarves doing anything like that.
Sure. Okay. Shall we move on to the next exclusive that we have?
Yeah, and you can read that one.
Thank you, because
you're gonna tell him who Meteor Man is now?
Yes. Okay.
It's actually doing the first.
Reincarnated.
Come on. Okay, so our next exclusive is the Dwarven king submits a challenge of strength and endurance to Elrond. All the dwarves want the elf's blood because he's originally thought to be a thief. They hold a rock breaking competition. Each takes turns striking a blow. It will be edited throughout the episode, going on and on. In the end, both are knackered. And Elrond submits in the end, kneels and lays his axe down. Everybody cheers, and the elf is let go.
Which is cool.
So this
because
is basically the scene that we've seen in the trailer itself,
yeah,
right?
exactly. We see him kneeling. I know a lot of people speculated that tool he has might be the scepter he held in the poster, but I think it's an axe, right?
It's not the scepter.
No,
I think.
no.
But yeah, could be the axe, definitely. Walking, how does this sound to you?
It sounds accurate for a multitude of reasons. Like one,
Let me get my popcorn.
You got it ready?
Go.
So one, elves are very sneaky. They're fleet of foot, but what one race would be able to catch an elf trying to steal from them? It would be the dwarves. The other part that 100% confirmed, he couldn't break the rock. He had to tap out at the end and give up. And I'm sure what was happening was they weren't really striking the rock with the intent to break it. I think Elrond was, but look at his biceps. Not much damage was going to be done. I think Durin was hitting the rock, trying to crack it specifically so that Elrond could break it and then win over the rest of the dwarves, because Durin seems kind. He seems very caring. But Elrond just didn't have it in him, just like he didn't during the trilogies, whatever. But just it's interesting to think about what he could have stolen that they were that offended about.
It is interesting what they're accusing him.
What can an elf do against such reckless hate?
No, I gotta step in for Hugo Weaving. I think that Elrond could definitely pull that off. I'm sorry. But to be fair, the Elrond we saw was, during the Battle of the Last Alliance, so it's 1,000 to 2,000 years in the future. Of course, in the timeline, we don't know when this is happening and all that. But, I think he could pull that off. But yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, he obviously does not win, I guess. But I think he does, impress the dwarves. I think he does win their hearts in the end, because they let him go and they are cheering. And if for those who maybe haven't paid attention, more deeply in the trailer, the scene that we see of Elrond, with his lifting his head in the cave, behind him, the dwarves are, doing the cheers and just drinking. So I think whatever was happening, it went well. And my theory is that the thing that he's holding, it may just be the handle of the axe, perhaps, and just she's just holding it with him.
So you think the scene from the trailer with Elrond in it is after he couldn't win the competition? Because I feel like we know he has to win them over in some fashion. And you would think after the competition was over and Durin wins because he's got to tap out, you would think that, maybe he has that moment of frustration, but shortly after, we should see him kind of self-celebrating because he should repair relations with the dwarves to an extent. As we said, he has to win them over. If they're going to follow along with what should happen.
Yeah, the menacing look is interesting for sure. I know.
I think that is during the competition where he's trying his dangest to break this rock and he can't do it, and he's getting frustrated, and all the other dwarves are just LOLing in the background at him, because who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I think it's maybe just of course we have no idea what is the chronology of the event and all that. But I think it may be just right after he gives up or whatever. I think it may be just right after that, That's why he's distraught, and they are celebrating in the background. So it could be right after that, 30 seconds after the tap out or something like that. But yeah, we do not know exactly what's happening. So, but I think it's I cannot wait to see Elrond interact with the dwarves a bit more. And we have that info also that they are old friends during the Fort and Elrond. So what I said about the Cycle Doriad, it's just a fan theory of my own. If they are old friends, then something may have happened like during the Fort's life, and now they have to mend their relationship. What do you guys think of that?
Well, we know the war of the elves and Sauron, right? We know that Durin 4 led dwarves into that. So
But that's probably gonna be taking place later on, right? Like season 2.
yeah,
I don't think that's
exactly.
something that has
So
already
I have to wonder if that's where, before that's where Elrond and Durin formed their friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it says they're old friends in the article or wherever, so they must have
Yeah,
had a
like
relationship prior to that.
Oh, I see what you're
when
saying.
this rock scene is happening, they are mending the relationship that they already had.
Right.
Something like that.
Got you. Yep, that makes sense.
which I think is going to be like Elrond obviously didn't steal whatever they were accusing him of stealing, but him and Durin are old buddies, so maybe he's like playing a dwarf elf prank on him, and Durin has the item that was stolen just in his little back pocket or whatever. Sets him up to do the test the strength competition that he knows Elrond cannot win, but it's a way for him to show the other dwarves that he has this determination that he's just not going to give up on these things. And then Durin breaks the rock when he finally tries, and then people are clapping, and then before they can go try to punish Elrond for being a dastardly little devil, he reaches back and he pulls out the item and shows everybody he had it the whole time. And then people can't be mad at Elrond, and they're like, Durin was just pranking everybody. Maybe we should hear out this elf guy. He's not so bad after all.
Sounds
Yeah.
like
I also think it's interesting the
some...
way that it's being filmed. You guys are reporting that it's like spread out throughout an episode, and that it's not just like one scene or two scenes together. So it makes me feel like it's not going to be like a massively long scene either.
Probably not.
I think that's a really cool take that you have, and honestly, I wouldn't mind that. Like that would show the bond between the two of them. That would I like it definitely, and I also want to point out that we're gonna see like a compilation of that. Like those tiny snippets throughout the episode. So I think one of the ways that this can work is that is actually what impresses the dwarves, because maybe it just really goes on and on and on, and they are in the end impressed that Elrond, stood out for that long, that he made it, for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours maybe, or however long that may take.
I think
so that may be what impresses him.
I think that's a strong possibility. And actually, if you scrub through the trailer frame by frame, that very last frame of the axe breaking the boulder, it's a different person. So it's like it cuts from Durin breaking it to someone else breaking it. So something interesting happening there for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. It does look like a new person.
Yeah, and they can set him up all throughout the episode to give people a laugh. You give him like a hollow piece of equipment to use, so when he goes to hit the boulder, his hands end up like ringing together, and he's like, he can't grip anything after that. It cuts back later, and they give him another, a war hammer or something, but the head's not attached to it. So when he goes to swing it, it just goes flying off somewhere. Like, there's a bunch of ways they can do this, and if they're interested, I have a full-time job, but I'm willing to travel for the show if they want to bring me on.
Bring
Yes,
on
please,
Varking.
Amazon.
Bring on Varking.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll start a petition.
Absolutely.
Varking and
Okay,
Nikki.
Just where do I put my signature?
Absolutely.
And I don't mind writing. I know Lakithia earlier said the Amazon writers, like on the script, they literally wrote like la 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 earlier, and I wouldn't do that. I would put more effort into it for you guys at home.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say once again that today there's been a lot of speculations, and please don't take our own personal speculations as exclusives, because those weren't the part of it. So it was absolutely so much fun to speculate about stuff, but we just want to, separate what we know from what we're guessing.
We're here to report on the vague details we get, and then put the details together ourselves and make our own speculation for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important to mention, definitely.
None of what I said is speculation.
Yeah,
No,
well,
I mean, of course, it's
we
just
know.
the three of us. You're the experts.
We
Like,
know
it's just the three of us, you know.
We know you were there in person. We see you in the background there behind Elrond, clinking your glasses, your mead or whatever it is you're drinking back there. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know what's going on.
We know.
It's pink
Okay.
lemonade.
Yum.
Okay, should we wrap
Yeah.
this up?
So, does anyone, if no one has any further comments,
I just want to reiterate
Then,
again. It's cool. It's
okay.
cool that this was something we had heard about but weren't sure of, and then we saw it in the teaser, and so we're able to confirm. It doesn't look how I thought it was going to look. So I'm relieved that my imagination's not so great when it comes to some of these things.
And I think a lot of our imaginations aren't terrific with stuff like this. We read it on, forums, message boards, Discord, and Reddit and Twitter, and the way that it is written, it makes you feel a certain type of way about whatever you're about to see. And then when you actually see it live, it's completely different than how you thought. And then sometimes it's for better and sometimes it's for worse, but it's part of why it's fun to speculate, but we should not try to get too emotional about these takes in advance. It can be completely different than how everybody's projecting all of these things.
Very well said.
That's why I'm so afraid to see what Austin Ethel will actually look like. But
we'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
Indeed, wise words.
And I think with that we can wrap up this episode. Thanks to everyone who tunes in to watch the video. Thank you for your time. Have a lovely week, and see you soon. Goodbye.
See you next time.